When you first get behind the wheel of your own car, there's a sense of freedom that's hard to describe. The open road, your favorite playlist, windows down, it's a rite of passage. But along with that, freedom comes a responsibility that most drivers overlook until it's too late. Car insurance. And one of the first, and possibly most important, choices you'll need to make is deciding between full coverage and state minimum insurance. At a glance, one seems affordable and simple. The other, more expensive but more protective. So which one should you choose? And more importantly, which one truly protects you? To answer that question, let's begin with a clear understanding of what we're comparing. State minimum coverage is the lowest level of auto insurance required by your state's law. It varies slightly across states, but it usually includes only liability coverage, and that's important to understand. Liability insurance doesn't protect your car. It doesn't cover your injuries. It exists solely to pay for the damage or injuries you cause to someone else in an accident where you're at fault. If you rear-end someone and their bumper is destroyed, your liability insurance pays for their repairs. If they're injured, it pays their medical bills up to a certain limit. Now compare that to full coverage, which isn't a specific product, but rather a term used to describe a bundle of protections. Full coverage typically includes your state's required liability insurance plus collision and comprehensive coverage. Collision helps cover damage to your car when you hit another vehicle, object, or if you roll your car. Comprehensive pays for damage caused by events other than a collision like theft, fire, flooding, hail, vandalism, even hitting a deer. Add to that uninsured, underinsured, motorist protection, roadside assistance, rental reimbursement, or medical payments coverage, and now you're talking about a much broader safety net. Think of state minimum as the bare minimum gear you'd bring on a camping trip. Full coverage. That's like having a fully stocked RV with all the tools for any emergency. Now that we understand the definitions, let's get into what really matters for most people. The number on that monthly premium is often what guides people's decisions, and understandably so. When budgets are tight, it's easy to be tempted by the cheaper option. State minimum insurance can cost anywhere from $30 to $80 a month, depending on where you live and your driving record. For some people, that seems like a no-brainer. Why pay more than you legally have to? But here's the part that many people miss. You're not just choosing a policy, you're choosing your financial future in the event of an accident. Let's say you cause a major wreck, and your state minimum liability policy covers up to $25,000 in property damage and $50,000 in bodily injury. That sounds like a lot until you total someone's $50,000 SUV and send 2 passengers to the hospital with injuries that cost well over $100,000 in care. Once your insurance company pays their part, you are personally responsible for the rest. That's not just a bill that could mean lawsuits, wage garnishment, drained savings, even bankruptcy. Now imagine the same scenario with full coverage. Your insurance handles the other party's costs and your own car repairs. If your car is totaled, your policy could pay out thousands to replace it. If you were injured, your medical costs may be covered depending on the policy. Full coverage means you're not alone when disaster strikes. And let's be honest, no one ever plans on getting in a car crash. But that's why it's called insurance. It's protection against the unplanned. But let's also be fair. Full coverage comes with a price. In many states, full coverage insurance can cost 2 to 4 times more than state minimum coverage. For younger drivers, especially those under 25, the monthly cost could be $150, $200, even $300 or more. And that's a tough pill to swallow if you're also juggling rent, gas, food, and maybe student loans. But remember, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And in insurance, value often reveals itself during your worst moments. Let's talk real-life examples. Picture this: you live in a major city, parking is tight. One morning you find your parked car sideswiped, mirror, hanging door, caved in. No note, no cameras. If you have state minimum coverage, you're out of luck. Your insurance doesn't pay a dime because no one else can be held liable. But if you had comprehensive and collision coverage, your insurer would handle it minus your deductible. Of course, the difference: you're not paying thousands out of pocket for something you didn't even do. Or consider a more dramatic scenario. You hit a patch of ice and slide off the road, crashing into a pole. Your airbags deploy, your windshield cracks, and the front end is mangled. It's a single car accident. If you only have state minimum, again, you pay everything with full coverage. Your insurance pays to fix or replace your car, less the deductible. It's not just about accidents either. Theft, fire, hailstorms, falling trees, these things happen every day, and comprehensive coverage is your only shield. A rising number of people now live in areas prone to natural disasters, wildfires, hurricanes, floods. A single event can destroy your vehicle. And if all you have is the minimum liability coverage, you're walking away with nothing. That leads us to a big consideration. What's your car actually worth? If you're driving a new or relatively valuable car, say it's worth over $10,000, it often makes sense to carry full coverage. Replacing that car out of pocket could be financially devastating. However, if your vehicle is older and not worth much, say, under $3,000, it might not be worth paying hundreds in premiums every year to protect a car that wouldn't cost much to replace anyway. But don't stop at the car's value. Think about your financial cushion. Can you realistically afford to replace your car tomorrow if it's totaled or stolen? Can you afford to pay out tough pocket for another driver's medical bills if you're underinsured? If the answer is no, full coverage isn't a luxury, a lifeline now. What about deductibles? Your deductible is the amount you pay out of pocket when you file a claim before your insurance steps in. A higher deductible lowers your premium, and a lower deductible raises it. It's a balancing act. For some, a $1,000 deductible is doable and that reduces the monthly bill. But make sure you could actually afford to pay that if something happens. It's all about creating a policy that matches your reality, not your wishful thinking. Another key point is loan or lease requirements. If you're still financing your car or leasing it, chances are the lender or leasing company requires full coverage. Why? Because technically, they still own the vehicle. They're protecting their asset and by extension, so should you. Let's not ignore the impact of your driving environment. Do you drive daily on busy highways or in urban areas with a lot of traffic, crime, or risk of accidents? Then full coverage gives you peace of mind. Do you live in a rural town, barely drive more than a few miles a day, and have an older car? Then the minimum may actually be sufficient. Also consider how long you plan to keep your car. If you're planning to sell or trade it in within a year, you might not need full coverage for much longer. But if it's your main ride for the next 5 years, a full policy could be your financial shield. And here's a point most people never think about: your mental health and emotional peace. If you've ever been in a car accident, you know how stressful it is. Even a minor fender bender can be an emotional whirlwind. Dealing with other drivers, police reports, towing, repairs, it's chaos. Knowing your insurance will step in can ease that burden. You're not just buying financial protection, you're buying clarity in a moment of crisis. Let's debunk one final myth. I'm a safe driver, so I don't need full coverage. That's dangerous thinking. Even the best drivers can be hit by others, fall victim to weather events, or experience theft. Safe driving doesn't protect you from the world around you. Insurance does. Conclusion: the choice is yours. So full coverage versus state minimum, which one should you choose? The answer lies in your personal circumstances, not just your bank account. Ask yourself, can I afford to replace or repair my car if it's totaled? Can I cover the medical costs of someone I injure in a crash? Am I required by a lender to carry full coverage? Do I live or drive in a higher-risk area? Do I want peace of mind, or am I comfortable taking on more risk? If you have the financial safety net and drive an older, low-value car, state minimum might be a reasonable option for now. But if you rely heavily on your vehicle, live in a risky area, or simply want to sleep easier at night, knowing you're fully protected, then full coverage is the wiser path. Remember, insurance isn't about legality, it's about security. The law might require a minimum, but your life deserves more than just the bare basics. Don't wait until after the accident to wish you'd made a different choice. Review your policy, understand your risks, and choose coverage that truly protects you.